Hello everyone and welcome to another mental health story time brought to you by the Children's Book Bank. My name is Jialin, my pronouns are she, her, and today's topic is on Indigenous perspectives. So some of you may have already learned about Indigenous perspectives in school and some of you may have not. And essentially Indigenous peoples are people who are native to a region. So for example, we have the Indigenous peoples of Canada. And I remember when I was in middle school, in social studies class, we would learn about Indigenous peoples, for example, different groups, like the Anishinaabe Ojibwe people and the Cree people, which we will read about in the books today. We also learned about some of their daily activities and their way of life and a little bit about their history here. So let's all take a moment to reflect on how much we know about Indigenous perspectives. Well, the two books we will read today are a little bit different from our normal picks. So they're called Sky Sisters and Stolen Words. And they're a little bit longer than most of the books we read, so they are still picture books, but there's more text. And that might really give us an opportunity to visualize the scenes and immerse ourselves in the stories. So I'm excited to read these two books with you today and learn a little bit more about Indigenous perspectives. And let's get started. So before I begin, I just want to say that there are some words in the Cree language for this book and in the Anishinaabe Ojibwe language for the second book that I have tried my best to pronounce based off information online. So it may not be fully accurate, and I apologize if that is the case. The first book that we will read is called Stolen Words, written by Melanie, Florence, and illustrated by Gabrielle, Grimard. On the cover, we see a young girl hugging an elder, maybe their family, and on the back, we see them holding hands and walking joyfully. So let's take a look and see what Stolen Words is about. What words were stolen and from who? She came home from school today, skipping and dancing, humming a song under her breath, clutching a dream catcher she had made from odds and ends, bits of string, plastic beads, and brightly colored feathers. Her glossy braids danced against her shoulders, swaying with her, black as a raven's wing. "Grandpa?" she asked, clutching his hand, spinning under his arm before dropping it again. "How do you say grandfather in Cree?" He stopped breathing for a moment, a lifetime to a 7-year-old. He looked down at her sadly. "I don't remember," he answered. "I lost my words a long time ago." A frown clouded her face. "How do you lose words, Grandpa?" she asked. "They took 'em away," he answered. She thought for a moment. "Where do they take them?" she asked. "Where they took all of us," he said. "Away from home, away from laughter and soft words, away from our mothers who cried for us." She reached for his gnarled hand. "Who took you away, Grandpa?" she asked quietly. "Men and women dressed in black, talking to us with words we did not know," he answered. They reached home and sat on the stairs together. "Where did they take you, Grandpa?" she asked. "Away to a school that was cold and lonely, where angry white faces raised their voices and their hands when we used our words," he answered. They took our words and locked them away, punished us until we forgot them, until we sounded like them. Harsh, sharp words, so different from the sound of our beautiful ones. She touched his weathered face, tried to wipe the sadness away with her soft hands. She looked down at her lap and handed him the dream catcher that she had made for her room. "You take this, Grandpa," she said. "Maybe it will help you find your words again." He smiled at her, his granddaughter, and touched her innocent face. A face that had never known hard words or raised hands. He smiled and kissed her head. The next day she skipped out of school again, smiling widely at her grandfather. She stopped in front of him and took a deep breath. "Tansei, Nimosum," she said. His eyes widened. She smiled brighter than the sun. "I found your words, Grandpa," she said. She pulled a tattered, well-worn paperback out of her book bag. "Introduction to Cree," it said. "My teacher helped me find this for you at the library." He reached for it, his hand shaking, opened it, feeling the soft, much-loved pages under his fingers. "Nosasim," he whispered. "Granddaughter." The word felt familiar in his mouth. It felt like his home, his mother. He turned the pages of the book carefully. "Masinahikan," book. He turned another, word after word. "Pikiskwewina," his words, pages and pages of them. He looked at his granddaughter, his nosim. "Thank you." "Teniki," he said. "Will you read to me?" she asked, taking his hand in hers and leading him home. "Will you teach me your words?" His heart danced as he nodded, holding the book against his chest. And together they walk home. And so that was a beautiful book. And from the story of a little girl helping her grandfather reconnect with both the Cree language and their Indigenous heritage, we understand a couple things. So we read a little bit about Indigenous history here in Canada and the suffering that Indigenous people had to go through. We also read about the importance of language. So our language is more than just how we communicate. It ties us to our heritage. Language is like a key that unlocks the understanding of another culture. Do you speak another language at home? Maybe more than one language? How do you think it helps you connect with your family and your culture? Let's take a look at the second book now, which may offer another perspective into Indigenous culture. So this book is called Sky Sisters, and it's written by Jan Bourdeau Waboose and illustrated by Brian Dynas. And on the cover, we see two people bundled up and they're looking at something high up, maybe the sky, like the title suggests. And on the back, we see the same two people playing together in the snow. So what does Sky Sisters mean? Is it referring to the two people on the cover, or does it mean something else? Let's take a look. "Hurry and finish your hot chocolate, Alex," my big sister calls. She pulls on her blue parka and scoops her gloves off the floor. "Come on, Slowpoke, or they'll be gone by the time we get there." I gulp the last drop of chocolate and wipe my mouth on my sleeve. Mother smiles. "Dress warm," she says. Sister holds open my new green parka. It is my favorite color. I slip my arms in, then lace up my boots. Allie, I'm not slow. See, I'm ready. Mother looks out the window. Yes, the sky spirits will come tonight, she says. "Let's go," I shout, and I race the door. Mother calls after me. "Alex, remember to listen to Allie." "Yes, Alex, I'm older." Allie grins. "Not by much," I say. Mother raises a finger to her lips and quietly says, "Shh, remember the words of grandmother, our Nokomis. Wisdom comes on silent wings." She smiles and waves, then closes the door. The night is so cold and tickles my nose. I watch my breath form clouds that greet the open sky. My big sister and I stand beneath a million stars. Nothing stirs. Silence is all around us. Everything is frozen except for me in my parka and my sister in hers. I think of our journey ahead and my heart beats faster. I'm filled with excitement and I wonder how quiet I can be. My sister's soft words break my thoughts. "Keep warm, Nishime." She calls me this to remind me that I am the little sister. She reaches over, flips up my hood, and tucks my pink scarf around my face, then snuggles behind her own warm scarf. "We might have a long wait tonight," she says, as she creates a trail ahead of me with a blanket of snow. "How long?" I call out. She does not answer my question but turns to me and says, "Shh, Nishime, whisper when you speak." She raises a purple-gloved finger to her lips. "Okay, Nimise." I form the words but make no sound. Our boots leave big holes in the snow as we head in the direction of Coyote Hill. Sister leads the way. I follow in her footprints. Her stride is bigger than mine, so it's not easy to keep up. I remember the stories Mother told us about midnight on Coyote Hill, when she and Auntie were girls. Mother was the leader. Auntie was younger and had to follow, like I do. I wonder if Auntie ever wanted to lead. I eat snow from my mitten as I trail behind. Up ahead, Nimise is waving her arms for me to hurry. "I'm coming!" I blurt the words into the night. My voice flies through the air. Then I remember the words of our Nokomis. I can't see my sister's face, but I know she is frowning. We stop by a gathering of trees. I watch Nimise pluck a glistening icicle from a branch and put it in her mouth. I do the same. Quiet surrounds us, except for the sound of my sister sucking on her ice sword. "You're noisy," I whisper. She sticks out her tongue and moves on. I ignore her and look up to see Grandmother Moon glimmering behind a thin cloud. The night is still, and the black shadows all around form strange shapes. I quicken my pace to keep up. The dark arms of the balsam trees are heavy with snow. They reach out to touch us as we walk on. Something stirs in the shadows beneath the branches. "Nishime, don't move." Nimise speaks low. "You'll scare it away." She stops and points at a fluffy white rabbit, but I see something bigger, bounding toward us. It is moving quickly. I try to tell my sister, but the words will not come. I tug on her arm and point. "What is it?" she asks, yet she does not look away from the rabbit. It is too late to warn her. The huge shape is right in front of us. My sister whirls around, gasps, and holds on to my arm. I suck in my breath and hold her arm. We stand motionless as we stare into the eyes of a deer. The deer looks at us and does not move away. With strong legs, she paws at the snow before us. She waits a moment, then turns and runs gracefully toward the river. We stare after the deer for a long time before Nimise whispers, "A white-tailed deer, nothing to be afraid of." Sister lets go of my arm. "I know," I whisper too. "I wasn't afraid." I let go of her arm and smile. She smiles back. We hold hands and run toward Coyote Hill. The closer we get, the more it looks like a big white bear. When we reach the hill, Nimise says, "It's steep. Let me pull you up." It is not that steep, but I like my big sister pulling me up. I pretend she is a team of huskies as she climbs higher with me in tow. "Faster, faster," I try to call out gently, and I begin to giggle. Nimise stops and says, "It's your turn to pull me." "No, it's not. It's my turn to be the leader, though." "Follow me," I shout. I run past her as fast as I can to the top of the hill. "Nishime, whisper when you speak." Sister's words chase behind me. We can see our north country for miles from Coyote Hill. The wind is strong up here. Icy fingers pull up my warm green parka. A snow cloud hides Grandmother Moon, and delicate snowflakes begin to sprinkle down to us. My sister opens her arms and reaches for the sky, trying to gather as many flakes as she can. I, too, reach my arms to the sky to gather my share. She leans over and speaks. Her words are as soft and light as the snowflakes. The sky spirits will come tonight." "When?" I ask, but there is no time for an answer. A howl breaks the silent night, then another. The cries are long and loud. I quiver and move closer to my sister. "What is it?" I speak so that I can barely hear my own words. Sister's eyes are wide with excitement. "It's a coyote," she bursts out. "He's singing to us." "Listen." The coyote sings his song once again and stops. "He's waiting for an answer," says Nimise. She cups her hand around her mouth. I do the same, and together we howl back the coyote song. Low at first, then louder. The coyote answers. So do we. A few more calls, and then all is quiet. My sister and I look at each other and grin. Nimise's grin is as big as mine. The wind blows stronger now and whips my scarf in circles around my head. Sister's hair falls free from her and swirls about her face. Her purple scarf twists and turns behind her. She leans into the wind and stretches her arms out to me. We join hands. Around and around we spin. Faster and faster. Our legs lift with the wind as we dance under the northern sky. Dizzy, we fall down on Mother Earth's winter quilt. We lie in silence beneath the endless miles of midnight. The wind has left. It is calm again. The only sound is our breathing. I want to ask, when will the sky spirits come? But I do not speak. I like the quiet. I see the Little Dipper and follow it with my mittened hand. Nimise traces the Big Dipper. Then she says, "They'll be here soon." I wonder how she knows. And so we wait, our faces turned to the stars. We begin to make snow angels. Our arms and legs wave at the sky. Up and down we move, watching, waiting. Time stands still on top of Coyote Hill. Suddenly, I hear my sister exclaim, "Look, they're here!" High above us are the sky spirits, dressed in my favorite green and Nimise's blue. We watch them sway and flicker in the 4 directions. Streamers of pink and purple swirl and flow across the sky. Twisting and turning, the sky spirits join together. Around and around they spin, faster and faster. Their shimmering parkas and scarves lift with the wind as they dance in the northern sky. They wave down to us, and we wave back, over and over. I watch in silent wonder as I think of the words of our Nokomis. Wisdom comes on silent wings. My sister's shout breaks my tranquil thoughts. Nishime, they're sky sisters. Her voice echoes in the night. Shh, I say. Remember, Nimise, whisper when you speak. And we laugh out loud as we lie beneath the northern lights, my sister and I. And that is the end of the book. We see the two sisters watching the sky here, and this was a great read. So instead of language being the focus in this book like it was in the last book, the focus is on cultural traditions. So in this case, these two Ojibwe sisters are following the traditions of their family by seeking out and looking for the sky spirits, which are the northern lights. And the two sisters call the sky spirits sky sisters at the end of the book because it looks like two sisters playing and swirling in their colorful parkas. And this also references how their mother and aunt used to go see the sky spirits when they were younger. We also read about cultural wisdom through their grandmother's quote, "Wisdom comes on silent wings." The sisters recall a couple times. So here are a few questions for you to reflect on. How did these two books help you better understand Indigenous perspectives? Do you have any cultural traditions that you follow? And why do you think understanding cultural beliefs and participating in these traditions is important? So we read a couple of really great books this week on Indigenous perspectives, and they didn't focus so much on the day-to-day life, but they focused more on the deeper cultural aspects like language and tradition, and these offer different and important Indigenous perspectives. So if you're interested in what we read this week, then I encourage you to reflect on it, maybe talk about it with your friends and family, and think about the importance of learning about Indigenous perspectives, maybe even how it's relevant to your own life. So that's it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the two books. Stay safe, everyone, and see you next week.